areas that one travels to, the Creator has provided everything that we need, especially the food. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, teachings that about everything that's out there. My elders have always said, my grandfathers, my grandmothers, my teachers, my mentors, have always told us that we owe everything, our very existence, to our parents. Our parents is the ones that provide us with everything that we needed. That goes back to a time when there was no humans. There was only animals. There was not a human being on this place they now call Turtle Island. In my language it's called Shunuk. This land here, all from coast to coast, north to south. There was 4 kingdoms. The 4-leggeds, the water creatures, the flying creatures, and the plants with their roots. Our legends, our people tell us that they had great tribes. They were a living being that spoke a language, that had a language, that had great chiefs and many different tribes to their nations. The 4-leggeds have many different species of 4-leggeds, all different things with 4-leggeds. Everything in the water, from the top of the mountains to the deepest ocean, there's many different species. The flying creatures that uses the air for mobility with wings, there's many different species. They fly through the air, they don't walk on the land, they don't fly, they don't go through the water. And then the 4th kingdom is the plants with their roots. In Sheil, teachings from the elders, those 4 different kingdoms are like our parents, because the stories they tell all the way down through legends is that everyone has heard the stories of Coyote and how he was a trickster and how he was tasked with doing many things for the people from north to south. And where Coyote ends, the raven takes over, and where the Coyote ends, the condor takes over, and many different things that do the same kind of thing that Coyote does for our people. Those things like that talk about the place where humans came from, this title, where they came from. We're told that because the 4-leggeds, the water creatures, the flying creatures, and the plants lived in such perfect harmony, they depended on each other, there was no disease, they were such a perfect world. It was so perfect that the Creator was so impressed with that he said in the stories that we're told in the legend times that if the Creator takes a piece of the 4-leggeds, of the water creatures, of the flying creatures, and something from the plants and puts it together and creates an ultimate being from the most perfect setup there is, that ultimate being would be a part of the 4-leggeds, part of the plants, part of the swimming creatures and the flying creatures. And my elders told me and taught me about that, and everything that I was brought up to do was to recognize that and to honor that. And if that's true, if there's any truth to that, any truth to that kind of teaching, I was a kid that never took my grandma's words seriously. I always wanted to, check to see if it was true. And I did a lot of testing and checking and asking different people and different elders. And one of the things that keeps coming back to me and showing me that the words of the elders are very true. Because if those are our parents, if we're part of them, if we're part of the four-leggeds, the water creatures, flying creatures, and the plants and the roots, then they must be our parents if we're part of them. If they're our parents, then as a parent, everything out there has an obligation to make sure that the being that came from the four-legged water creatures, flying creatures, the supposedly ultimate creature, man, she, indigenous people, the child of everything out there. If that's true, then as a parent, they have an obligation to give their child the best chance to survive. They did that. Some of our legends go back to the time when they were talking about that first being that was more animal than human. And they, some of the stories in our language goes something like this. The four-leggeds, when they saw this being, this first human that's supposed to be their child, the four-legged chief of all the four-legged said, if that's my child, if that's the first, if that's the ultimate being, then it's the poorest example of the ultimate being I ever seen. Because even though it's my child, it doesn't have four legs, it won't graze and eat the plants, medicines that I do. It doesn't even have any fur. It's not even going to survive the first winter. Has no hoofs, it can't run around on the land. That's my child, I'm the parent, I'm obligated to make sure that my child survives. From our four-legged parent, says, well, the only thing that I can do is offer my being, myself, for my child's survival. In our language it says, in words that basically says there are many four-leggeds. If one of those four-legged groups, tribes is gone, there's still four-leggeds. To me that meant there's many different species of four-legs. If one goes extinct, there's still four-leggeds there to provide as a good parent for us. That continuity had to be built in to provide for us, because the four-legged chief said there are many four-leggeds. Elk, deer, moose, everything like that. And I speak for all the four-leggeds as the chief. My child can take anything with four legs and use its hide for clothing, use the meat to eat because we don't graze, and use the bones for tools. Now that we have meat to eat, our parent from the water says, that's my child too. We can't live on just meat alone. He's got to have the fish, got to have the oil and the fish. And our parent from the water said that we have the right to take anything from the water, from the top of the mountains to the deepest ocean, from our parents, given to us a right to take their life to eat, because they're a parent, they have to do that. survival. Flying creature said, that's my child too. You've given it meat, you've given it fish, but look at our child. How is it going to catch something with 4 legs? How is it going to get something in the water? Really good of you to offer that, but being the flying parent, I will provide all the tools they need to get the 4-leggeds, to get the things out of the water. From our flying parent, they gave us the tools we needed to do that. The last parent to speak was the plants. The plant said, that's my child too. And if our child is to survive, we as a parent have to do everything to make sure our child survives, because there's only one kind. There isn't many kinds of human. There's only one kind of human. There's many 4-leggeds, there's many fish, there's many flying creatures, and there's many plants. We're that many because we can provide continuous help for our child to survive, because our child's only one kind. So, to me, when my parents told me that we're a child of the creatures out there, that we had to look at everything